Welcome back to my channel, Scale Model Kit Review Studio, and welcome back to another FanHome Build the Enterprise D. That's right, this is from Star Trek, The Next Generation. This is the largest metal and plastic Enterprise kit out there. Do not pass it up. Head over to FanHome today and subscribe to this build. I put a direct link in the description below, right here, and also above. Let's get started. Welcome back to Scale Model Kit Review Studio, and welcome back to another installment of the FanHome Star Trek The Next Generation Build the U.S.S Enterprise D. I am on Pack 22, or Issue 22 in this case. We have 4 more stages to build in this video, and much like before, we'll be building some of the deck panels and some of the framing and putting lights in and such. So if you've watched my video series all along, you'll know what's going on when I do this. I'm going to skip through a lot of it and show you completed assemblies and how they install on the saucer itself. So like I was saying, with Pack 22, or magazine number 22, we'll be working on stages 83 through 86, and magazine is great here. Take us through all the parts that are included, the stage assemblies, and we'll go through that as we go along in the video here. But let's go into the magazine itself, because it's an episode guide, and in this case we are up to Season 5, Episode 6, which was October 28th, 1991, the game. And then Season 5, Episode 7, Unification 1. And Sarek is in this one. Mark Leonard. Always liked him. Ooh. The makeup on Patrick Stewart here, Romulan makeup, that's very cool. Episode 5, Season 5, Episode 8, Unification 2, so a continuation of the other one. And lastly for this magazine is Season 5, Episode 9, A Matter of Time. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the parts that were included with this pack. Stage 83, we have the lower saucer frames. Stage 84, looks like some deck panels, lights, windows. Stage 85, once again, more deck panels, lights. And stage 86, more deck panels and lights. Let's get started. And to begin with, here's the parts we received with stage 83. Skeleton number 7, it's identified as. And just like before, we're going to install some LEDs on the skeleton. That's already mounted there. Those are for those windows that are indented on the saucer. And go ahead and install a LED and attachment holder assembly, little bracket there on Skeleton 7. And we're going to go and install that. Just like we did before. Also note that we have the formation light and where it's located, so you want to be careful you don't pinch anything or break nothing there. Then we're going to run our LED lights to the circuit board and do a light test like we've always done. Here's the parts for stage 83. We have our LEDs in there, and skeleton number 7. Let's get a closer look. We have AM, BM, and FM screws. We have the ventral phaser array that's made of plastic. We have the little plastic mounts for the LEDs that go on the skeleton. Here's our 2 LEDs that came in red and black wires. And number 7, skeleton frame. To begin with, I went ahead and took the LEDs and I configured them like this, like the instructions show, because these are going to be mounted on skeleton 4 on the lower saucer. So let me bring that over and I'll show you what's going to happen next. LED will get mounted right here on this component right here. Now this is right in the center of the saucer. You can see where the photo etch grills are, so that's where that's at. And we have to take our LED and we have to turn it like this. Okay, and then that will go down just like that, and then that plastic bracket will hold it in place. And you can see, got the plastic bracket in place here with an AM screw, and it's holding that LED in place right there. Now we'll plug that into the board. Okay, so this LED is going to go in on this board right here. It's the first one closest to the center, and there's an open connector on the very end there. Let me show it to you. Right there. Okay, that's where it will plug into. So I used my tweezers to plug that in. Right there. I'm going to go ahead and light test that real quick. Perfect. Next I mounted the other LED just like before, and that's on frame number 7. Now we'll go ahead and mount this to the saucer. Before I mount skeletal frame number 7, right beside number 3 here is the navigation light. It's the green and white wired. I pressed it in place into this detent area here and tucked the wires in as much as possible so they don't interfere with the skeletal frame. Now I'll go ahead and mount the frame. Alright, so skeleton frame number 7 is installed. That's this frame right here. And just as before, I started at the bottom. In the corner I did put the AM screw to join the 2 frames together. This is number 4 and number 7. Here's our navigation light we looked at earlier. And then I put in FM screws on the bottom, 4 of them, 2 here and 2 there. I'm not going to lie, they were tough to get in. I did use some 3-in-1 oil on those to help it along. And then I worked my way up and put BM screws up here. So there's 4 here and then 4 more up there. So there's 8 BMs. Use the 3-in-1 oil to help you along. Make sure you tighten them down as much as you can until they stop turning. So this is the PH1 screwdriver used. It's a larger screwdriver and it really helps get those screws cranked down. And then the LED wire, I ran it under. It goes in between a couple of support frames over to the first circuit board and got plugged in right there on the edge. There was an open contact connector and I plugged it into that connector. Go ahead and do a light test for these just to make sure everything looks okay. The navigation light's flashing. The LED we put in looks good, and the one we put in earlier looks good. Okay, you can see that a little bit better. And that's all we do with stage 83. Let's get started on stage 84. Let's get started on stage 84. 84 looks like we're going to work on a deck panel and a battle section middle reflector. Here's all the parts we received along with the LEDs there. First I'll work on one of the deck panels. I'll put all the windows in, put it all together with the reflectors, make sure the LEDs are in place like they should be. Looks like they got to be turned 90 degrees. One LED harness over to the circuit board and route it to where it needs to go, and then get our panel positioned to mount on here. Attach the other window deck panel to that, put your LEDs in there, and then mount that panel down. After we mount that panel down, we'll go ahead and do a light test with that. And then we'll work on the battle section. We'll put the reflector in for the battle section, the windows and such, and do another light test with that after we plug it into our circuit board. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 84. Let's get a closer look. And here's all the parts here. We have the reflector for the battle section, the deck panels, plastic here for that deck panel, of course our windows, FM, BP screws. We have a harness of LEDs with 2 LEDs on it, and we have 3 more longer LEDs with 2 LEDs each. Let's identify these LEDs because it's important to know which ones go where. So the 2 long ones here are 84H, the medium length one is 84I, and the short one is 84G. So pay attention to that as you're installing these. And remember, when installing these windows, there's a longer lip on one side compared to the other. Short on this side, longer on that side. That longer side, when it gets installed on the panel, it goes towards the longer edge of the panel versus the smaller edge. Alright, this deck panel is assembled now. I put 2 reflectors on the back side with BP screws, and the 2 LEDs that were inserted are the 84H LEDs. These are the 2 longer ones that came with this pack. Now we'll go ahead and get this mounted to the saucer. 84I wire needed to be installed first before we put the panels on, and that's this one right here. This was the medium-sized wire we received with this stage. You route it along the bottom here below between these 2 frames over to the circuit board. It's the 3rd one in from the top right there. So that got plugged in right there. Now we can go ahead and mount our panel. Next, I just routed the panel LED wires that we just completed, and I routed one underneath this frame here and the other one over here under this frame. Routed it through over here to the opening, through all the way over to the circuit board. And those wires got mounted right beside the other one we just mounted a little bit ago. These 2 side by side. Next, I retrieved panel 82 that was in storage there, and I took the 2 LEDs that we installed separately earlier, and I mounted those to this panel here, and it's simply going to slide in just like that, and then the other panel on top of it, and hold everything in place. Okay, the panels were inserted here. There's a couple of lips that have to go underneath panels, and you have to slide this top panel under the lower panel, and very fiddly, but I eventually got it. Just take your time with it and everything will fall into place. And then of course 3 FM screws went in here to hold everything down. Make sure your screws are in all the way. We'll go ahead and do a light test here. There we go. Everything seems to check out and look good there. Next I'll work on the battle section middle panel. We're going to put the reflector on it. I already put on the LED. This is 84G, which was the shortest one out there. And we're just going to line it up and put our screws into this, which will be BP screws. All the BP screws are installed, and that's what that looks like. Now we'll go ahead and do a light test on that. Alright, so I went ahead and just plugged it into the board temporarily so we can do a light test on it, because we're going to unplug it here after the test. Turn it on, and that's what they look like. Okay, that completes stage 84. Let's head over and do stage 85. Let's look at the parts for stage 85. Another deck panel and some windows. Stage 85, I'm going to complete another saucer rim and adding more windows to the battle section middle assembly. So there's the rim panel. Mount that in place and work on the battle section. We're going to put the windows in for the battle section. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 85. Let's get a closer look. AM, FM, IM screws, escape pod covers, the saucer rim, battle section middle section windows, and the saucer rim panel, deck panel. Okay, so this edge panel has been assembled with the escape pod covers and the edge piece. Make sure that it's flush right there. And I used AM screws for the blackout panel and IM screws to hold the edge panel on. Now we'll go ahead and mount this to the saucer. So our panel's next in line here on the saucer, and remember it has a tab that goes under this panel, and this lip must go under the upper panel, and just slide everything in place here. That looks good there, and we'll put our FM screws into this, and the screws are tight. One right there, and I'll leave this screw cover off for now. That will go on last, the final stage of the build. I'll put that away for safekeeping. I noticed while editing the video that I didn't have these panels quite aligned up correctly. Took a little bit of prying and all that, but eventually I got everything to fall in place, so that looks much better now. And lastly, we'll go ahead and put the windows in the middle section for the battle section, and that's simply just going to slot in to those windows just like that. Looks good. That's all we do with stage 85. Let's do the final stage for this video, stage 86. And here's the final stage for this video, stage 86. These are the parts we received. Once again, another deck panel and reflector for the middle battle section, LED. For stage 86, we'll combine 3 large builds to create the iconic shape of the battle section after fitting the saucer deck panel and working navigation light. So first thing we'll do is we'll build this panel here. We're going to go ahead and install that just like we did previously. Get our navigation light sorted. Then work on assembling the battle section middle section there. Do a light test for that. Then we'll retrieve the battle section upper bracket unscrew the FM screws that secure the circuit board in place, because we need to get access underneath. We're going to install that section to the other section there. Then we'll take the middle section, we'll route the wires for that, install some screws on the upper section there, the CP screws. We'll put the circuit board back in place, making sure all our wiring is where it needs to be. And that will complete 86. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 86. Let's get a closer look. CP screw, FM screw, BP screw, IM screw, DP screw, and AM screw. And we have our edge panel, reflector for the battle section, escape pod covers, and LED light, along with the navigation lens mount bracket. And this deck panel is assembled. We have our escape pod covers installed. We have the blackout panel with AM screws and the edge panel with IM screws. Now we'll go ahead and install this to the saucer. Okay, before we install this panel, I'm moving this navigation light out a little bit because we're going to mount it to that holder for it. And this needs to mount up against. The FM screws are in and tight. Now we'll go ahead and deal with the navigation light. This is a green one. That's going to go just like that. And give you just a little bit of light. You can see it's a green color there, and it's inserted. LEDs inserted into it. Looks good. Next, we'll bring over the battle section middle. We're going to put that reflector on it that we received in this stage. I put the LED lights into it. Use some tape for that to help me along. And line it up. We'll put our screws into this, the BP screws. Okay, all the screws were put in. Now I'll go ahead and plug it into the circuit board temporarily to do a light test, which I did already. And we'll check it out. Looks good. Now we'll move on. Now next is to assemble the three main parts of the battle section, and that's these right here. So I'll take you through that. So for the battle section upper part here, I have to remove this circuit board so we can get access underneath it. 4 FM screws will come out. Okay, the circuit board is moved out of the way. Now we're going to insert this panel on just like that, but we need to run our wires through this. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so we had a wire harness that's here by itself that runs to the right of the center here, and then the wire harness to the lights on the right side run off to the right also with that one, and then the lights here on the left run off to the left side. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and secure this panel down. We have the wiring where it needs to be. Okay, now we need to secure this panel to this one with 2 screws, and they're going into plastic, but you have one right here, one right there, and one right over here. And these are DP screws. And once they are in and tight, we can flip this over and take our other panel here, and obviously that's going to go down on top here. Have to route our wires where they need to go. Okay, so we'll take that panel like that. We're going to flip this over. Now we've got to take this long wire that's by itself, and the wires coming off this side here, they're going to route through that side right there. Okay, and then the other side going in over here. Okay, and then everything should fall in place like that. Okay, so got everything snapped down in place. It kind of snapped in place there. It looks really good, actually. And I'm going to put in 4 CP screws into this. We have 2 over on this side and 2 over here. I'll do those first. The rest of the screws to go into this are DP screws. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more over here, 8. Okay, all the screws are in tight, all the DP screws are in. Looks good. Be careful you don't pinch any of the wires or anything like that. And that's what it looks like on that side. Looks good. Alright, let's move on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and return the circuit board to its location where we took it off. 4 FM screws will go into that. Okay, the 4 screws are back in. Now we're going to take this harness here with the black, yellow, red, and blue, and that's going to go here on the end. Next we have these 2 other harnesses that are the same colors. They're going to go right beside each other behind that. Okay, so they're both plugged in there. Those 2. Smaller one is going to come over here, and it's going to plug in over here on the end, just like that. And this one here is going to plug in right there, right there. Perfect. And that completes stage 86. Looks great. I will be right back. There she goes, howling again in the backyard. That's my Princess Leia. But there you go. That completes pack 22, or magazine number 22. And we did a lot here. It was a lot of fun doing this. I'm really enjoying this build. If you haven't done so already, head over to FanHome and subscribe to the Enterprise D. Check out some of the other builds that they have available. It definitely is worth your while to build this one. It's the biggest part work Enterprise kit out there. As a matter of fact, it's the only one actually, but it's fantastic and I'm enjoying it. So if you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and smash that like button. Stay tuned for pack 23. I have it on hand and it will be up very soon. Take care.